Hello everyone. So we are here to discuss the test, which is test number 23 of your daily answer writing test. Okay, and the topic is of governance. Okay, so as I already starts lecture with the basics of any subject or any subsection, I will also start this with the basics of governance. That what exactly is the approach required for the governance paper. Okay. So for governance, one thing is that examples are very important. Okay, A is your examples. Okay. So for example, if there is a question on NGO, is there is a question on cooperative society or anything, you need to write the examples of various successful models that are there. Okay, and that can be implemented in other parts of the country. Okay, that is one thing. About second thing, with respect to specifically governance paper, you need to decode question properly. Okay, so in governance, many a times they are asking questions which are very much lengthy. They are like 4 to 5 line questions, and then you get confused कि लिखना क्या है भाई इसमें, मतलब focus of the question that you should not miss. Okay, so see the previous year question papers that they are asking, and according to the previous year questions, see some of the model answers which are available on the internet. Okay, so according to that only you have to decode the question, that how a particular question can be properly decoded. Okay, so that is one part. Okay, then with respect to last component about governance, your dimensions are very important. Dimensions. Okay, if you think about dimensions, you have to think about the multi-stakeholder approach. Multi-stakeholder approach. What I mean by multi-stakeholder approach? For example, any impact of governance on the common people, then its impact on the financial aspects of a particular thing, then its impact on organizational kind of thing, that is your organizational connect, or maybe organizational efficiency in terms of corruption and all those things. Okay, so these things you need to mention in the governance paper. So that is the basis of that. Okay, and now I think this is the basic that is required, and now we will see more dimensions through the actual discussion of questions. Okay, so for that I will start the question number 1 in the test. Okay, question number 1 in the test talk about write a short note on role of NGOs in Indian democracy. That is what is the question. Now the question specifically asks about role of NGO in Indian democracy. Okay, so here you need to mention about how NGOs are playing constructive roles. Constructive roles. If there are any issues, and way forward in the conclusion. Okay, way forward in the conclusion. Okay, now let us start about the constructive kind of part. Constructive part. Okay, so in constructive part, you can suggest how NGOs are acting as a mechanisms of development. Okay, development. Okay, so for example, NGO such as NGO, you can take example of Akshay Patra NGO. Akshay Patra. Okay, so it is working specifically for development of children. Okay, child. Okay, so that is a multi-stakeholder thing. You can suggest role as a pressure group. Okay, role of NGO as a pressure group. For example, MKSS, Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan, is a NGO which acted as a pressure group to enact the Right to Information Act. Okay, Right to Information Act, and which has played a good part in making our governance very transparent. Okay, okay, it has unearthed various scams like 2G spectrum scam, then Colgate scam, etc. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then NGOs also can act as the voice to the voiceless, voice to the voiceless. So, for example, you can give the example of NGOs like or movements like Narmada Bachao. Narmada Bachao. Okay. Okay. various NGOs which are working as a voice to the people. For example, you can also ask about the mission which I'm forgetting the name, but it is the NGO which is working for the Naxalite area. You can search that names, like name of that NGO. But yeah, you can also say that they are acting as a voice to the voiceless people. Okay, or there are various NGOs working for tribal areas and tribal groups. Okay, so that also you can mention in your answer. Okay, then NGO also plays a critical role in policy feedback to the government. Okay, if government is implementing any policy, if there are any lacunas in implementing that policy, NGOs can certainly tell the government in a way to improve that thing. Okay, so that is also there. Then also you can say that NGOs are also, they are instrumental in making democracy more fair, equitable, and crime free. Okay. For example, NGOs such as Association for Democratic Reforms, which is an NGO which is acting for making our democracy more vibrant democracy. Association for Democratic Reforms. So this NGO has brought various reports which has said that around 42% of the total politicians in India have court cases pending against them. Okay. So this also you can mention as a part of your answer. Okay. So that is also you can think of. Then NGOs also pressurize government to enact good policies and good laws. Okay. For example, for environmental protection, we have Environmental Protection Act, or for women empowerment, we have Maternity Benefit Act, as well as various schemes like Sabla. Okay, so these are the effects of the pressure that has been there because of NGOs. Okay, so that this is a short note that you can write, and just in a 1 or 2 sentence you can mention. However, NGOs are facing such issues like lack of transparency in funding. Okay, then lack of dedicated staff. Okay, then lack of proper research and development on their areas. And for this, you can give a solution in your last part, that is in conclusion part. You can give solution. Okay, in conclusion part you can give solution. You can say that FCRA norms that are reformed, Foreign Contribution Regulatory Authority norms that have been reformed, that is a progressive step in a way to check the foreign funding of NGOs. And also you can say that government should take NGO as a developmental partner in work. Okay. So working with NGOs will ensure that government will enjoy, or government will have a lot of reach to the common masses. Government will enjoy the privilege of reaching to the last person of that particular locality. Okay. So these are the things that you can definitely mention. Okay. Now let us see this question number 2. It's a very general question. It is asking what is development and discuss the dimensions of development. Okay. Now, if you think of the development, it is very broader term. Okay. So let us think about development. What is development? You can define development as a progress happening in various walks of life, including political, economic, environmental, human resource, then your social. Okay, these are the various dimensions of development, and that is progressive changes that are happening in terms of quality as well as in terms of quantity. That aspect is very important. Development, unlike growth is having only quantity, but development will have quantity plus quality. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, now let us see which are the different dimensions of this development. Okay, dimensions. Okay, first dimension you can say is that it is economic prosperity. Economic prosperity. Okay, so this dimension you can count in the form of GDP growth rate, or maybe in the form of employment that is generated in the economy, or in the form of other things. For example, the exports that a particular country is doing to the other people. Okay, so these are the basic dimensions that you can address in the economic part. Second part you can say is like political development. Here you can mention universal adult franchise, giving voice to the voiceless. It also includes giving fair opportunity to all to participate in elections. Okay, so these are the various dimensions. Or you can also mention that affirmative action for equitable political development, equitable political representation. Okay, these are the dimensions you can mention. Then coming to the next part, you can also talk about the environmental dimension of development. Environmental dimension of development, you can mention about how development needs to be multi-stakeholder holder. Okay, so interest of tribal people should be managed with interest of development. Okay, that is there. Then you can also say that preservation and conservation of environment. That is also a part of your environmental development. You can also say that implementing policies such as environmental impact assessment, which is a part of our syllabus, which is also part of your development. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then with respect to talking about another form of development, that is social development. So it includes the inclusive development of all the sections of the society, including SC population, ST population, and all other sections within the society. Okay. So that is what is social development you can talk about. It also includes gender empowerment. Okay. Increasing women's labor force participation ratio. Okay, these are the basic dimensions of social development. In social development, you can also talk about the social harmony. Okay, social harmony within different religion, caste and ethnicity. That is also a part of social development. Okay, then coming to the next area of development, that is your human resource development. In human resource, there are basically three components: your education, your health, and your skilling. Okay, these are the basic three dimensions. Here you can suggest some data or facts if you want to, but it is not asked explicitly. They have just asked the dimensions of the development, so it is not necessary. But for the general understanding, you can mention one or two facts. For example, in health, we have still being able to cover only 40% of the total expenditure that is coming from government sector. All other expenditure is coming from private sector. That is, out of pocket expenditure is around 60%. Okay, so these are the some dimensions you can mention and as a part of development. And you can mention development is essential in a way to make our country progressive and to achieve the targets of sustainable development goals. Okay, so that is also very important. Okay, targets of SDGs. So this you can mention as a part of your conclusion. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to do. Okay, this is the question number second. Okay, then last is like question number 3. We will discuss question number 3. Now just say what is question number 3 is asking. It is asking what are SHGs and why does India need SHGs? Discuss advantages of SHGs. Okay. Now there are three parts. First is what is SHG. Second is your what why India needs. And third is what? Okay. Third is your advantages of SHG. Advantages. Now question is very simple. Okay. What is self-help group? Okay, self-help group is like organization or institution or mechanism under which people belonging to same social and economic background are coming together. Okay, and they are coming together as what? As the member of organization. Okay, so this is like people having common economic, political interest. They are coming together. They are also saving money under self-help group. Okay, they are also lending amongst themselves. Okay, that is also you can mention, and that is how they are promoting entrepreneurship. Okay, that also you can mention. So these are the basics about this SHG, that is self-help group. Okay, then what they have asked, why India needs SHG. Okay, that is what is they have asked. Okay, so we will address that question. Why India needs SHG? Why need? First thing is like there is not sufficient capital available. Hence, if people will save, and they will again lend, and that too lending through less interest rate. Okay, that will again promote the entrepreneurship, and which is important for creation of job. Okay, so that is also you can mention. Then also you can mention that SHGs are required in order to serve the poorer population, where the banking reach is very limited. Then also you can mention that SHGs are required in order to create like leadership amongst women in India, which are considered to be having less capacity building. Okay, so that is the leadership, women, less capacity building, and SHGs can provide them that dimension. Okay, so that is also there. Then again, in the fourth point, you can mention that SHGs are essential in a way to promote rural development. Okay, because majority of SHGs work in rural area along with urban area. And with respect to women, why women specifically we are targeting? Because 90% of the total membership of SHGs working in India constitutes women. Okay, so that is also there. You can also write like SHGs are important in a way to address issues which are social in nature. And social issues you can mention, for example, you can address alcoholism, you can address domestic violence, okay, through the power of SHG. You can also suggest that SHGs can act as a maybe feedback creator. They can create feedback in a way to improve or in a way to address the lacunas in Panchayati Raj of a particular village, Panchayati Raj. Okay, lacuna. can be addressed. So this is the basic answer that you have to write. Okay, and lastly, what they have mentioned. Yeah, one aspect is you can say that it will not only promote saving, but it will also enhance the standard of living. Standard of living. Okay, that dimension also you can mention. Various SHGs are very helpful. Okay, so SHGs like Lijjat Papad, etc. I have been very instrumental in providing employment as well as improving standard of living of the people. So these are the advantages that you can discuss, and yeah. So that's it. That is regarding SHG. Why India needs SHG, that we have discussed. Just a minute. Okay. Why needs, in here you can add some of the dimensions. Okay. Why we need it. So पहिलं तर हे की not sufficient fund. Second thing he ki we have still have poverty that we have already discussed. Some point will be repeated in advantages and the why India needs it. Okay. Second also point of view you can say is that SHGs are needed because we are a diverse country. Okay, and socio-economic background of the people also varies. So through SHGs, people will with social economic background, which is equivalent, can come together and contribute to the developmental aspect of the overall society. That also you can mention. Okay, so that is what is about question number 3. Then we will discuss question number 4. Question number 4 is talking about traditional bureaucratic structure and culture have hampered the process of socio-economic development in India. Okay, comment. Now here question talks about traditional bureaucratic structure and how it has hampered the India's overall progress and growth. Okay, traditional bureaucratic structure. Now, in a way to introduce this question, you can say that Indian bureaucracy belongs to British legacy, and which has not yet reformed to its basis, not yet reformed, and we still carry that attitude of colonial attitude. Colonial attitude that also we carry, and that is why there are huge issues. Okay, now what is question is asking? Question is asking traditional bureaucratic structure means how traditional structure has hampered socio-economic development, that you have to mention. So first, traditional structure hampered development, socio-economic, right? Socio-economic development. ओके, सो ट्रेडिशनल स्ट्रक्चर मध्ये काय काय लिहिणार आहे तुम्ही? फॉर एक्झाम्पल पहिलं ट्रेडिशनल स्ट्रक्चर आहे की हायरार्की बेस्ड. मग त्यांनी सोशो इकॉनॉमिक डेव्हलपमेंट कशी हॅम्पर होईल? तर टॉप टू बॉटम पॉलिसीज ठीक आहे, ह्या त्याच्यामध्ये येतील. सेकंड थिंग काय होईल बी पॉइंट मध्ये की अजून ट्रेडिशनल स्ट्रक्चर्स आहेत की लॅक ऑफ टेक्नोसॅव्हिनेस. सो ह्याच्यामुळे काय होईल की लॉट ऑफ डिस्क्रेशन which may result into the lot of result like elimination of true beneficiaries. Just a minute. Elimination of true beneficiary. also you can mention. Okay, so this is one thing. Then traditional structures like rigid hierarchy that we have discussed. Yeah, hierarchy we have discussed. Okay, so let us take another traditional structure. Another traditional structure you can talk about is our bureaucracy is still based upon the my बाप सरकार attitude. My बाप सरकार attitude. ठीक है? That results into lack of accountability. Lack of accountability of bureaucrats towards common people. That several times lead to delays in decision making. Delays in decision making. That also you can mention. Then another traditional structure you can talk about is excessive protection. And that is there to the civil servants. Excessive protection. For example, excessive protection is given under Article 311. So despite having corruption allegations, you need government's permission to investigate against that officer. So that has again resulted into kind of excessive protection, and also excessive lethargy. कि अभी मतलब चलता है हमें एक बार अगर यूपीएससी में सिलेक्शन होके इफ यू बिकम ऑफिसर देन सब कुछ इज ओके ठीक है यू बिहेव यू बिकम लेस अकाउंटेबल टू द पीपल एटसेट्रा सो दैट एटीट्यूड वी नीड टू चेंज राइट so that also is a problematic attitude. And then what are the other things? For example, you can also talk about the traditional structures based upon red tapeism. Okay, so this may be fifth or sixth point. Red tapeism. If you go to the specifically two offices, that is your customs office and for environmental clearance, you need lot of permissions. So it hampers ease of doing business, and that is why new investment cannot come in your country. Okay, so in city like Delhi, if you have to just start a small kind of business, you require around 3 to 400 permissions. Again, if such a permissions are needed, then it results into what it is called as corruption. Okay, it hampers the entrepreneurship spirit. Corruption में convert हो जाएगा वो. Okay, so that is also it hampers entrepreneurship. ठीक है. So that is also there. Okay. Then sometimes you find that there is a lack of grievance redressal in governance. Lack of grievance redressal. So it results into again the less accountability. Okay. Sometimes you also find that the lack of coordination is also an issue. Okay. Lack of coordination. So interdepartmental coordination is not there. Interdepartmental coordination. For example, there is a turf war between Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Okay, regarding to whom we should give priority. We should give priority to environment, or we should give priority to tribal population living in that vicinity. That is also one of the issue that we are facing. Okay, so many a times departments work in silos, which is not required in the government. Not required. Okay, so that is also you can mention. Okay, so these are the basic issues associated with development. Okay, then you can also suggest. Comment question is there. So in comment, you do not want or you do not only mention problems, but along with problems, you will come with solutions also. Now, what solution you will suggest for these problems? First thing is to implement second ARC recommendation. Second thing is to in that ARC recommendation itself, they have talked about civil services board. Civil services board that needs to be established, that will oversee the transfers of a civil servant. Okay, transfers of a civil servant. And again, this will result into reduction of the political bureaucratic nexus. Nexus. It will reduce the politicization of bureaucracy, reduce politicization, which is not good for democracy. Okay, this is also point that you can mention. Okay, then also you can also highlight that there needs to be amendment of Article 311 also. That is also mentioned in the second ARC, Article 311. So it should reduce the excessive protection given to the civil servants. Excessive protection given to the civil servants in service. Okay, so these are the reforms that you can suggest as a part of your answer. Okay, and then you can conclude that these reforms are needed on a very priority basis. Okay, so that is also the thing. Then you can also talk about present government initiatives like Mission Karma Yogi. Or also you can mention I got portal. I got portal. Okay. So these all are essential in a way to ensure reforms in the bureaucracy. Reforms in the bureaucracy. Mission Karma Yogi. So what Mission Karma Yogi talks about? The role-based bureaucracy rather than merely rule-based bureaucracy. So such a question also you can expect in the exam, role-based rather than rule-based. And also you can write these things in a conclusion part as well. Okay. So both the things are there. Okay. So that is also your conclusion. Then let us see question number 5. It is talking about what is e-governance. Examine importance of e-governance in growing digitization. Okay. Now very simple question again. What is e-governance? E-governance. Governance. It is simply use of information communication technology in governance. Okay. In governance. Okay. So that is also there. Then use of ICT is only not enough, but also you have to think about other aspects. So there are various dimensions. For example, this can be used at G2C, government to citizen. Okay. Then G2B. Okay. Government to businesses. And then maybe again G2G. Okay. Government to government. So these are the 3 dimensions that you can mention. That government to citizen, government to business, and government to government. Okay. In a way to ensure your record keeping is very improved and all these things, e-governance is very crucial. Okay. Now we will see that how e-governance is important in a way to address in the growing era of digitization. So in with respect to that growing era of digitization, you can mention growing era of digitization. With respect to whole world, you can talk about 4th industrial revolution that is upcoming. Then also you can talk about new technologies like quantum computing, artificial intelligence, etc. These are emerging technologies that will also decide the future of our generations to come. Okay. You also talk about like in this growing era of digitalization, you can talk about the policies that are taken by Indian government also, which may include the Digital India Initiative. Or you can talk about the other policies like mobile manufacturing that we have started in a way to improve this governance or G2C aspect. Okay, so that also you can talk about. Okay, so digital India mission is very important here. Okay, now how it is important, why e-governance is important. First thing is e-governance creates ease of doing business. It reduces the discretion available with the authorities. It also improves the record keeping of data. Okay, it also helps in policy formulation. So for example, if you have data about a specific thing, you can frame good policies. Okay, so that also you can frame, okay, good policies. So that is also very important. Then again, you can also say that citizens can easily give feedback. Feedback system can be improved, as well as grievance redressal system for the citizens can also be improved through e-governance, and hence quality of service delivery can be also improved. You can give example here of mygov.in, or for example TRAI, that is regulatory telecom regulatory authority of India, is taking feedback from people with respect to new policies that they are bringing. Okay, so that also you can mention as a part of your answer. Okay, next thing is like what are its other benefits in digital era, that is what is e-governance in the age of this thing. This will also save your cost. For example, your paperwork you will not be able to, or it is not needed anymore if you have e-governance. Okay, then also you can save, not only save cost but also save times. Means real time feedback mechanism, real time feedback. For example, if you are doing offline survey, it will take months together in a way to gather the information, gather the data and process that data. But with the use of this e-governance, you can collect data easily within few hours, and also you can think about other things that are there, that is creating feedback out of that data. That also you can mention. E-governance real time also you can talk about the use of e-governance. For this should be 5, this should be 6th. Use of technology under e-governance. For example, we have used technology component in Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, in which we have started accepting the images sent through the WhatsApp and other any means, okay, about crop damage and etc. So that is also very big advantage that you get out of this e-governance. Okay, so also e-governance will ensure that officers' discretion, as we have talked about, will reduce, and hence it will also reduce the corruption in governance. Okay, will also be reduced. That is also very important component of that. Okay. Then last thing, like in a way to address, like in a way to conclude this question talks only about what is e-governance, examine the importance of e-governance in the era of digitalization. So question talks about examine, right? Question talks about examine. So we have discussed various benefits, but there are various issues also that are there that we need to address with respect to e-governance and digital technologies. First thing is that there is a digital divide. For example, more number of males are using digital devices than the females, or there are more number of urban people who are having lot many percentage of access to the digital divides as compared to digital technologies as compared to the rural areas. Okay. So these are the dimensions that you have to mention in examine question. In examining other things also you have to mention. For example, digitalization is not an end in itself, but it acts as a mean. Okay. It also requires transparent data collection. Okay, transparent data with full of biases will also result into again biased policy making. So that is also a limitation that you can mention, and in one sentence you can give way forward. For example, in order to improve or utilize digital or e-governance in a better manner, we need to ensure equal access of these technologies to every part of the country as well as every section within the social strata. Okay, so that is what is you can write here. Okay, so that is what is about question number 5. Now let us come to question number 6. Question number 6. Okay. So question number 6 talks about India has made phenomenal progress in access and availability of health services since independence. Identify the bottlenecks of health service delivery and suggest solutions. Okay. So this is also a very like basic question. You can mention that how we have been progressing since our independence when it comes to the health parameters. Okay, so health parameter you can give statistics. For example, our life expectancy during 1947 was around 33 years. Now we have life expectancy of 70 years, so which is very good step. 2020 we have been able to like completely curb the diseases, or maybe to a greater extent we have curbed AIDS. Then we have also curbed the polio. Then we have also curbed the malaria to a greater extent. It is still there, but yeah, to a significant extent we have been able to curb. Then you can talk about infant mortality rate. Earlier it was way beyond around 150 or more than 150, I think. Now it is just 32 deaths per thousand population, newborn population that is there. So these are the area of improvement that we have done successively after the independence. Okay. So that also you can talk about. Then also on the immunization front, also immunization. You can give example that there is almost universal immunization in India. So through mission Indradhanush and other missions. Okay, you can also talk about this. Okay, so immunization is also an issue, or immunization is also our achievement. You might have seen that during COVID also, we have been able to successfully inoculate large number of population. Inoculation. Okay, so that also we can talk about. Then what they have asked next, identify the bottlenecks that our health service delivery is facing. Bottlenecks. B part of the question is your bottlenecks. Now you have to identify what are the issues with respect to this health service. So first issue is with respect to spending. You can definitely mention that we are spending only around 1.3% of total GDP on health, while countries like USA are spending around 18% of GDP on their health, and that to their GDP base is very large as compared to India. So India also needs to spend. For example, National Health Policy talks about spending of 2.5% of total GDP on this, but still we are lagging very much behind. Second thing you can talk about is human resource. In this doctors ratio, according to WHO, should be around 1:1,000 population, but we just have, it is around 0.6 doctors per 1,000 population. Okay, that is also the abysmal figure. Then with respect to nurses also, we have this skewed ratio. For example, 1.3 is to 1,000, that is the ratio, but actual required ratio is around 2 nurses per 1,000 population. Okay, so that is also we are lagging. Then with respect to infrastructure, we just have a very little amount of beds per population ratio. Beds per population ratio is very less. Okay, so that is with respect to infrastructure. Then again, with respect to health, we are underspending on primary health care. Okay, we are underspending upon primary health care. Okay, primary health care is being neglected, and there is increasing focus of private players also even on secondary and tertiary health care. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then with respect to healthcare, we also have another issue. For example, the issue of lack of medical regulations. Medical regulations. So you might have seen that exorbitant cost has been imposed on patients. Imposed on patients. Okay. So, for example, lack of medical regulation, exorbitant cost is imposed on the common people, and they have around, what you can say, they have around, common people have to spend around 60% as their out of pocket expenditure. Out of pocket. Okay, so here also we are lagging behind. So these are the various problems that our healthcare sector is facing. Then you can also talk about indigenization of equipment making is also not taking place. Equipment, drugs. So these are the crucial aspect on which we are dependent upon other countries. Other countries, like we are dependent upon API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredient API, on China. Okay, so that dependence is also very harmful in the long run. Okay, so these are the issues that you can talk about. Okay, so that is the thing. Then they have also asked about the steps that can be taken. Though steps we can discuss, steps that can be taken in this thing. Okay, so first thing is like increasing spending. If there is lesser spending, increase that spending. As I already talked about, national health policy talks about 2.5% of total GDP, then that needs to be come to the reality. Then second thing, you can talk about the availability of doctors. Availability of doctors. Doctors needs to be improved, and that too in a rural area. Rural area. So already doctors कडून bond sign केला जातो की they will serve as a doctor for at least 1 year, but same thing should be incentivized in the rural area. If doctor is working in the rural area, he should be paid a low, like high lucrative prices. Okay. Then you can also suggest that research and development in medical sector. Then indigenous equipment making. Indigenous equipment making. That also you can focus. Then with respect to other issues that are there, steps which can be taken. Then universal health coverage. Health coverage. That also you can talk about. For example, Ayushman Bharat, that is targeting almost every family member under BPL category. Okay, Ayushman Bharat also you can talk about. Ayushman Bharat. Okay, that is also you can talk about. And lastly, I think in a way to improve healthcare, it is not only India, but all the countries in the world should also focus upon creating sustainable ecosystem for creation of medical colleges. Increasing number of medical colleges can also be deployed, and the medical cost associated with medical education can certainly be reduced. That will act as an incentive to common masses to take into admissions to the medical courses, and will increase the supply of doctors that is there. Okay, so that is also you can talk about. Okay, you can also, in conclusion, you can talk about like in a way to achieve the targets of SDG. It is very important that we improve on the health front, or also you can talk about the health parameter, which is important. Okay, not only for this achieving SDG, but for achieving long-term growth. Long-term growth of our economic and human capital. Because if people are healthy, only will then we will be able to utilize our resources in a good manner. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Okay, so that is also the thing. Okay, so that's the thing. Then you can also talk about the civil society cooperation and all those things in the conclusion part. That health is not only the government responsibility, but it also is the responsibility of civil society. It also is the responsibility of private players that are there. Okay, all these things you need to mention. Okay, so that is also there. Then about question number 7. Question number 7, we will just discuss. Okay. Question number 7 talks about what are cooperative societies. Discuss how cooperative societies help in development of rural India. Uh, what are issues of agricultural cooperative societies? Okay. So they have asked like what are cooperative societies initially? What are cooperative societies? Again, you can mention that cooperative societies are the societies formed by people belonging to similar socio-economic background. Okay, socio-economic background. They come together in a way to achieve common aim, common target. Okay, common aim. You can give example of cooperative, various cooperatives that are there. For example, Amul cooperative is there. Then you have Lijjat Papad cooperative. Lijjat Papad. These are the successful examples of cooperatives that are there. Okay. Then you can also mention the areas in which cooperatives are active. Areas in which cooperatives are active. For example, in housing cooperative, you will be saying that is one area. Then your dairy cooperatives, that is milk and associated issues, that is another area. Then thirdly, you can say that not only in these two areas, but in also areas like textile cooperatives. Textile cooperatives. Then also, I'm forgetting one important banking cooperatives. Banking cooperative. There are various cooperative banks, so that also you can mention. Okay, so that is the first part of the question. Then second part is discuss how cooperative societies help in development of rural India. Okay. Second part is how cooperative uh, help in the development of rural India. So that is like you can directly focus upon rural India. And third, they have asked about agricultural cooperative, rural Indias and cooperatives. Rural cooperatives. So how they help? First is they create the network of economic activities, which may again lead to economic prosperity. Okay. Economic prosperity, once it is there, then with respect to other things, you can mention that agricultural cooperatives, they also increase the rural standard of living by increasing marketing power, or you call it as a bargaining power. Bargaining power. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then also you can mention it can create employment opportunity. So for example, employment opportunity in terms of what? Employment opportunity in terms of textile cooperatives. Textile cooperatives. Okay, so that is also there. Then with respect to other things, you can also mention cooperatives are rural backbones, because cooperatives not only will play the role, but they are playing role for women empowerment also. In general, women empowerment. Okay, for example, dairy cooperative, if you think about Amul, etc., that has resulted into increase in the income of females working in the dairy sector. Okay, so that also you can mention. Okay, so these are the various benefits of cooperative with respect to your this thing. Then you can also talk about the cooperatives in agro processing industries. Okay, so it can increase the quality. It can increase the quality of what? It can increase the quality of agricultural produce through value addition. Through value addition, it can again increase the exports. Okay, so these are the additional benefits, and also it can increase the market remuneration. Okay, so these are the benefits of cooperatives. Now, last part of the question is, what are the issues associated with cooperative societies in India? Agricultural cooperatives. Sorry, there is a specific term which has been used. That is, what are the issues associated with agricultural cooperatives? Issues associated with agricultural cooperatives. Okay. Now let us see the issues associated with. Now here also you have to think very multidimensionally, right? What can be financial issues, managerial issues, then what can be issues associated with agricultural marketing, agricultural produce, agricultural, etc., etc. Okay? So let us see how we can think of these issues associated with agricultural cooperatives. First thing is, like, with respect to awareness. Awareness about these cooperative societies is very less. Second thing is value addition. Value addition requires technical knowledge, and many a times member of cooperatives lacks technical knowledge. So again, it becomes very problematic. Sometimes their managerial skills is a problem, because farmers, etc., do not necessarily have good managerial skills. So there is a problem with respect to accounting. That also you can mention. Okay. Then with respect to politicization of cooperative, that is can be another issue. Politicization, once it is the phenomenon, then the viability of cooperative is itself is a question, because again it leads to the various issues associated with accounting and loan giving. Okay, so that also you can mention. So these are the problems. Also you can mention about other problems, like I think this is enough. Okay, so, and as a part of your conclusion, you can just mention that cooperative society is a very essential thing, and for that we have introduced Ministry of Cooperation in the recent budget. Ministry of Cooperation in the recent budget, and certainly under 97th amendment of the Constitution that we have, we can give larger mandate to the ministry. And also we can ensure center-state cooperation in development of cooperatives, because ultimately cooperative is a state subject. Okay, cooperative is a state subject. So that also you can mention. So this is about the conclusion of this question. Now you are getting the point, how multidimensionally you need to think, how you have to relate your current core questions with the current affairs. This is how you connect the both. Okay, then we will come to the next question, that is question number 8. Question number 8. The citizen charter is an ideal instrument of organizational transparency and accountability, but it has its own limitations. Full stop. Identify the limitations and suggest the measures for greater effectiveness of the citizen charters. Okay. Now they have initially asked like citizen charter. So it is a question in which you can define what is citizen charter. So it's a organizational commitment with respect to what? With respect to like organization's mission, organization's vision, organization's basic principles, then organization's grievance redressal. Okay, grievance redressal. Okay, so that is also you can talk about. Then you can also mention about citizen charter, grievance redressal. Then you can mention about quality of service. And lastly, you can mention about the time boundedness, etc. Okay, so that also you can mention its organizational commitment given in a specific document. Okay, citizen charter. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then they have said it will ensure transparency and accountability. And you can definitely agree with that proposition, because yes, it will increase the accountability by having deadlines to do some work. Okay, or it will increase the transparency by having so moto disclosure of various things. Okay, that also you can talk about, and then you can move to the next part of the question. That is what they have asked. Identify limitations and suggest measures for greater effectiveness. Identify limitations they have asked of citizen charter. Okay. So first limitation is non-inclusive फॉर्म्युलेशन. सिटीजन चार्टर बऱ्याच डिपार्टमेंट मध्ये एकतर एक्झिस्टन्स मध्येच नाहीये, म्हणजे की बाबा ते फक्त डॉक्युमेंट असतं की जे गव्हर्नमेंटचं डॉक्युमेंट तुम्हाला सांगतं की तुम्हाला एखादी सर्व्हिस या वेळेला मिळेल, हे डॉक्युमेंट्स रिक्वायर्ड आहेत, तुम्हाला जर काही प्रॉब्लेम असेल तर तुम्ही कुठल्या ऑथॉरिटीला कॉन्टॅक्ट करा, हे सगळं त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी दिलेलं असतं. ठीक आहे, पॉइंट ऑफ रेफरन्स, ऑथॉरिटी टू बी कॉन्टॅक्टेड, देन विजन मिशन ऑफ दॅट ऑर्गनायझेशन, तलाठी असेल, कुठलाही एखादा ऑर्गनायझेशन असेल, कुठली एखादी, तरी त्याचे विजन मिशन सगळे दिलेले असतात. ठीक आहे, पहिलं त्यांनी काय म्हटलंय की दिस सिटीजन चार्टर इज नॉन इन्क्लुझिव्ह फॉर्म्युलेशन मध्ये त्याचं नॉन इन्क्लुझिव्हिटी आहे फॉर्म्युलेशन मध्ये. ठीक आहे, सो दॅट इज अ फर्स्ट लिमिटेशन. ओके, सेकंड लिमिटेशन इज अपडेटच केलं जात नाही सिटीजन चार्टर बऱ्याच वेळेला. ठीक आहे, सो दॅट इज ऑल्सो अ लिमिटेशन. थर्ड लिमिटेशन इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू युअर गॅप बिटवीन व्हॉट इज प्रॉमिस्ड अँड व्हॉट इज ऍक्च्युअली डिलिव्हर्ड under quality service delivery, what is actually delivered. And this is because of mainly reasons that there is lack of government staff which is required to implement the citizen charter. That is the third thing. Then with respect to your fourth thing, citizen charter limitation, you can talk about another issue of citizen charter, and that is the grievance redressal is also absent in many of the citizen charters. Grievance redressal is also absent. That is also another issue. Then also you can talk about the awareness or citizen charters publicity is also not done. लोकांना माहितीच नसतं की सिटीजन चार्टर असा काही प्रकार असतो. पब्लिसिटी नॉट डन. ओके, सो आपण जर एखादं लायसन्स काढायला वगैरे गेलो आपल्या ह्याच्या आरटी ऑफिसमध्ये, तर कुठेतरी एखाद्या कोपऱ्यात ते डॉक्युमेंट लावून ठेवलेलं असतं, म्हणजे लोकांना दिसत पण नाही ते. ठीक आहे, पब्लिसिटीवर त्याच्या खर्च केला जात नाही. ठीक आहे, सो दीज आर बिकॉज ऑफ वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट. तिथलं जे मिडलमॅन असतात त्यांना पैसे कमिशन पाहिजे असतं, अँड दॅट इज वाय दे जनरली हाईड दिस सिटीजन चार्टर फ्रॉम द पीपल. ठीक आहे, सो दीज आर द बेसिक इश्यूज असोसिएटेड विथ युअर थिंग. देन so these are the issues that are associated. Then with respect to initial thing, you can also mention 2-3 points here. You have to agree, decline, then you have to mention, just a second. So with respect to this agreement, that how it increases transparency and accountability, it you can add like it also reduces corruption. सिटीजन चार्टर जर असेल तर करप्शन होणार नाही. ठीक आहे. इट ऑल्सो विल हेल्प सिटीजन्स टू पार्टिसिपेट इन द प्रोसेस, बिकॉज आपण जे म्हटलं की लोकांना विचारून केलं पाहिजे सिटीजन चार्टर. गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफिशियलच्या फक्त मनाने करून उपयोग आहे का? नाही. पीपल ऑल्सो शुड बी कन्सल्टेड. सो इट विल ऑल्सो इन्क्रीज पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ कॉमन मासेस इन सिटीजन चार्टर. ठीक आहे. सो त्यामुळं दीज आर द बेनिफिट्स. गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स जे ते दे विल वर्क अकॉर्डिंग टू द देअर दिस थिंग, काय म्हणू शकतो आपण, अकाउंटेबिलिटी तर राहीलच, बट दे विल ऑल्सो वर्क डिलिजंटली. दे विल ऑल्सो वर्क डिलिजंटली. दॅट ऑल्सो यू कॅन मेन्शन. ठीक आहे. सो दीज आर द थिंग्स. लिमिटेशन्स तर आपण बघितल्यात. अँड लास्ट लिमिटेशन मध्ये आपल्याला हे पण सांगता येईल की सिटीजन चार्टर सिटीजनच्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बद्दलच बोलत नाही. ठीक आहे. इट डज नॉट टॉक अबाउट इन एनिथिंग अबाउट सिटीजन्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. सो दीज आर द बेसिक इश्यूज अबाउट सिटीजन चार्टर. देन त्यांनी काय विचारले आपल्याला, they have asked is like suggest measures in order to improve citizen charter. आता मेजर्स तुम्हाला प्रॉब्लेम माहिती असतील तर मेजर सांगणं इझी जातं. ठीक आहे. मेजर काय काय केलं पाहिजे? मेजर्स पहिलं तर गोष्ट ही केली पाहिजे की त्याची पब्लिसिटी चांगली केली पाहिजे, आणि त्यासाठी ऍटलिस्ट 3% ऑफ द टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन द स्कीम शुड बी स्पेंट ऑन सिटीजन चार्टर अकॉर्डिंग टू द सेकंड ARC. ठीक आहे. सेकंड थिंग इज त्याला प्रत्येक ठिकाणी लिगल बॅकिंग दिलं पाहिजे सिटीजन चार्टरला, की काही काही ठिकाणी ते लिगल बॅकिंग दिलेलं नसतं. ठीक आहे. थर्ड थिंग इज दॅट स्टाफ बिल्डिंग. ठीक आहे. गव्हर्नमेंटचा जर स्टाफ कमी पडत असेल तर यू कॅन आउटसोर्स सम ऍक्टिव्हिटीज and then you can ensure that there is a rationalization of human resource. त्यानंतर फोर्थ थिंग तुम्हाला मेजर्स मध्ये अजून सांगायला लागेल की what are other measures that you can think is you can also think about innovative measures. म्हणजे सिटीजन चार्टरचं फॉर्म्युलेशन करताना not only public but also NGOs should also be taken into consideration. So these are the things that you can suggest as the measures in order to improve your citizen charter. That is what is required in this question. And then you can say that if we bring about the citizen charter, you will transform our governance from Swarajya, merely Swarajya, to Surajya. Okay. So these also you can mention in the conclusion part. This can be your conclusion. Okay. So this can be your conclusion. Okay. So that is what is the thing. Now we will move to the next question. Okay. What is next question? Question number 9. Question number 9 talks about with the toxic foam coated parts of a sacred river near India's capital in recent times. Overall, dirty rivers in India reflect failure of a society and governance at a local and national level. Comment. Okay. So, okay. Though this question is talking about river pollution and its responsibility associated with various stakeholders, including your local governance as well as your societal failure. So, it is like both local governance failure as well as your societal failure. Okay. So one thing is that you can divide this answer into two parts. One is like societal failure. How it is a societal failure. For example, you can say that attitude of people towards cleanliness is still very primitive. Attitude part is there. Then people are using the policy which is like not in my backyard policy, not in my backyard. Okay. They do not want backyard. They do not want garbage in the vicinity of their own thing, but they will use public places as a garbage throwing places. Okay. So that also you can mention. You can also talk about how it is a societal failure is because a lack of constant participation of civil society. Civil society participation is also lacking. Okay. In cleanliness drive, you can mention in cleanliness drive of rivers. Okay. Then also rivers are used for cultural purposes. You might be aware about Ganga, which is used for various cultural purposes, and that has again resulted into lot of pollution. Okay, so that also you can mention. Then also river courses are used not only for this, but what are the other dimensions we can mention? Yeah, you can also talk about how sewage water, wastewater is being released, how industrial effluents have also been released in rivers. You can also talk about how fertilizers, etc., are also being released in a village through agriculture. You can also talk about phenomenon of eutrophication, in which there is a algal bloom and all those things because of higher nutrition that is there with the river. Okay, so this is a societal dimension. Then they have asked about governance, local government failure. Government failure. It is what they have asked. Government failure. Okay. Oh, failure of governance. They have asked. Okay. Failure of governance. It is not a government. It is a governance. Okay. So there is a difference between government and governance. Governance is a way of governing the people, and government is a structure which is governing the people. Governance they have asked. Okay, so you can talk about how there are laws. There are various laws. For example, Water Pollution Control Act. Pollution Control Act is there. Then you have Environmental Protection Act, which also mandates clean environment, but still their implementation is not there to a greater extent. Implementation is a very big problem in India. uh, because of lack of implementation, you do not find any punishment that is also imposed upon these things. Okay, that is also another failure. Second, you can talk about is government failure with respect to this. Not only is like lack of thing, but lack of also willpower to preserve the environment. Lack of also willpower. Okay, so in elections, you might be aware that governance is considered as one thing in which willpower is essential, but uh, because of lack of willpower, there is a uh, like there is no solution that is being found out to the river issue. And you will also find that in elections you will discuss many other issue, but you will not discuss environmental issue or maybe river pollution issue. Okay, nobody is interested in this. That is why it is neglected area. That is also failure of governance. Then as a C part, you can talk about governance. Resource also is an issue. So, for example, there is a Ganga mission, or what is the name of that mission? Ganga. I'm not getting that mission. That mission is there in which there were underspending of the resources that were sanctioned. Underspending. Okay, because of various issues with various problems, or maybe issues like policy paralysis. Okay, okay. So these are also the issues. Then, with respect to governance failure, you can also say that I think last issue you can mention here is that center-state cooperation also. Center-state cooperation is also many a times missing, because many a times center frames laws and states gives permissions violating those laws. Environment is also issue which requires collaboration in center and state. State pollution control authorities and central pollution control board. These are the two authorities responsible for controlling the pollution of the rivers. And if they are not working in the coordination, then again it will lead to a problem of departments working in silo. Okay, that is also very like important thing. Okay. And lastly, we will discuss the question number 10. In this question, you can like in ninth question you can conclude in simple manner, like Namami Gange project that I was missing. Namami Gange project, you can mention that similar projects can be launched for each river, and inter-river, interstate also basin management approach can also be taken in a way to address the problem of river pollution. Okay, so that is also you can mention. And now we will address the last question, that is 10th question, question number 10. Now what is this question number 10? That says Indian citizens hold relatively low trust in the civil services and bureaucracy. Discuss various reasons behind this. Suggest measures to enhance bureaucratic efficiency in India. Again, the same question we have discussed earlier also. This question is talking about why there is low trust in the bureaucracy. Okay. So that is the questions that is being asked. Then again, issues are common. For example, issue of corruption. We have mentioned about 2G, 3G, or sorry, not 3G. Okay, this is 2G. Then Colgate. Okay, Colgate scam. Okay, this also you can say with respect to corruption. Then there is a top-down approach in governance. So that is there. That also reduces trust. Then with respect to transparency, there are issues associated with Official Secrets Act, okay, OSA, that leads to hiding of information. Okay, and again it leads to opaqueness in the system. Okay, that again reduces the public faith. Okay, then again the public faith is reduced because of various departments have issues of data collection. So there is a inclusion exclusion error with respect to beneficiary finding, and that again like creates issue of people's belief that is not there in the system. Then we have already discussed about Article 311. Okay. That again creates lot of security for the civil servants, and that has again resulted into the corrupt practices. Okay, corrupt practices. These are the things that you can talk about. Okay, so many times there is a lack of compassion also, and there is excessive focus upon rule boundedness. Okay, for example, that ethics case study you might be aware, in which one lady is coming to the government officer that saying she needs the PDS food grains, but she is not having any documents. So in that situation, if that government official does not give her that lady food to eat, then again it creates the impression that there is only focus upon rule boundedness in that scenario. Okay, so such a thing is happening. And lastly, they have asked is like what measures you can take in a way to improve the bureaucratic efficiency while working in the government. Okay, so in this situation, they have asked us the measures that can be taken. So you can suggest various measures. For example, as we have talked, second AR system implementation, then use of technology in governance like e-governance, etc. That also will enhance the objectivity while implementing policies, and will also reduce the amount of discretion. Okay, and people's faith will also increase. Okay, so that is thing. Then again, with respect to another measure, you can talk about like civil services at the present is generalist. So you can induct the specialists from private services in the form of lateral entry, which has already been started by the government. Okay, so that is also there in a way to use their experiences and use their special expertise. Then lastly, you can mention about civil service board. You can mention about abolition of Article 311, which is giving excessive protection to the civil servants. You can also mention about distinction that we need to carry upon the mala fide and bona fide activities. For example, you read the H.C. Gupta case, okay, in which the H.C. Gupta sir had not done wrong as such intentionally, but it was a bona fide mistake, and that has resulted into jail of that person. So it is also very wrong thing. Okay, it should be genuinely distinction between there should be distinction between mala fide and bona fide errors, and that is many a times not happening is also a problem. Okay, so and in conclusion part you can directly say that bureaucracy needs to be reformed according to the demands of the 21st century. And there is need to make bureaucracy smart. So this is what is sensitive. This is what is accountable. This is what is responsive. And this is what is tech savvy. And this is M is for, I think, measurable outcomes. I'm not sure, but M is for something like this only. Okay, so this way you can conclude that answer. So this is how you approach the GS part of governance. It is very easy. Just you have to give examples wherever you can. And that Nakshal affected area wala Ramakrishna Mission that I was having in mind. Okay, Ramakrishna Mission has also worked in a Nakshal affected area. That is also example of NGO. So such a type of examples you can also give. Bachpan Bachao is one of the NGO. ADR is one of the NGO. Akshay Patra is one of the NGO. Goodwill India is another NGO. Gunjin Foundation is also another NGO. That also you can definitely focus. So giving such examples, you need to elaborate your arguments, and hence you have to build the argument. Okay, so that is about the today's lecture, and I think GS2 is one of the scoring area which you can definitely build upon. Okay, so that's it for the today's lecture. We will, I think, stop here. So let's meet tomorrow, and all the best to each and everyone. Work hard as far as you can, and try to get good success, and try to come up with the like coloring butterflies or whatever you say. Okay, with the flying colors, as they say. So all the best to you, and thank you.